You're listening to the Disneyverse podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Disneyverse podcast. We are live today on YouTube, a little early than we had planned for, but thank you very much for joining us here today. On today's show, we are going to talk about some news that happened over the week regarding a Disney legend that recently passed on, plus some news regarding to the Disney parks. Not really the most positive of news, but we'll talk about that. Plus, the big news that we're talking about on today's episode is the 2018 Disney movies. Disney movies are going to be coming out in full force. We will be talking about those in just a little bit. But to introduce the panel for today on our show, we have Miss Patricia, Miss Terry, and Miss Vicky. What's going on, ladies?
Hey.
Hello there.
How's everyone doing today?
Everything's good.
Everyone's doing good? Awesome.
Ready to talk some movies.
Yeah, big. Well, today's a big movie day, as everyone knows. I don't know if you guys have heard. There's been a award show going on tonight. I don't know if you guys have heard about it.
Just a little one.
Yeah. I mean,
not popular at all.
I don't know why they.
No.
I don't know why they call it after a character from Sesame Street, but you know that's okay. So.
It's interesting that they're the same age as Mickey.
Yes, they are, and
yes.
I believe someone has
Yes,
a
they are.
I believe someone has a birthday 2 days prior to Disney or Mickey Mouse.
I
Terry,
think there's no
wanna...
coincidence.
No coincidence. All right, so I guess we should say first of all, Terry, you have a birthday coming, don't you?
No.
You don't? Well, yes, you do. You have a birthday coming up this year, right? Right?
My birthday is 2 days before Mickey's.
Exactly.
So...
Well, that's kind of wanted to get into because Disney was announcing some plans. What is going on with those plans with the mouse?
Oh man, I think Vicky had the post about that. They're doing a lot for Mickey this year.
Oh, is it Vicky?
Yeah,
All right,
actually,
so Vicky, you tell me.
You know, Disney does know how to do an anniversary.
That's true. That's very, very true. So
I think they got some merchandise. They got some parades.
They do.
I think
absolutely
so.
They do. Hold on one second, ladies. I think the video is not working. Hold on. We may have to start over. Let's see.
Of course.
Of course we do.
Yeah. I'm hearing a lot of people cut out on my end.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I think we're back. I think we had some issues, some audio difficulties earlier, but we're back. I hope. I mean, it says live, so I mean, I guess that's good. I guess that's really, really good. So today's episode, we're talking about Disney movies. We have a lot of movies coming out this year. Vicky was just talking about the 90th anniversary of Mickey Mouse, 90th birthday for the Mouse of the House. And, you know, Disney does a lot of, and we were kind of talking about this, Disney does a lot of different things for their anniversaries. I mean, the 60th anniversary seemed like it happened for like 3 or 4 years. But, you know, when you talk about everything that's...
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it was so popular, they had to keep it going.
Right, exactly. I think this is year 5 of the 60th anniversary party. I think they just continually do anniversary parties and everything, but that's okay. So we'll talk about that another time. I think that's getting ready to launch here in the next couple of weeks, so we'll probably talk a little bit about that. I know we're going to be doing a Disney bucket list. I know some of the girls were talking about doing a Disney bucket list. We will actually have an episode about that. In fact, it'll probably be in the next couple of weeks we'll do that, but... in the meantime, we're talking about Disney movies, and as we talk about Disney movies, we do have some sad news that did break yesterday in the Disneyverse. David Ogden Stiers. For people who don't know who David Ogden Stiers is, you're probably thinking, well, who's this guy? Well, for the older generation, you're probably thinking as the character of Major Charles Emerson Winchester III from MASH, Very Abrasive Doctor. He was the original Abrasive Doctor before, I believe, some other doctors. In a TARDIS, but that's okay. He was also in a science fiction drama called The Dead Zone as Reverend Gene Purdy. But he was also known as District Attorney Michael Reston in the Perry Mason TV movies. Well, yesterday he passed away at the age of 75 from bladder cancer in his home in Newport, Oregon. Now, in the whole Disneyverse, Me personally, I know him as Cogsworth. He was the character Cogsworth, as well as the opening narrator in Beauty and the Beast. He also played Governor Radcliffe and Wiggins in Pocahontas. So he played dual roles. I mean, he was a voice actor who did more than just one role in the in doing the voice acting. He was also Fenton Q. Harcourt in Atlantis, Mr. Jolly in Teacher's Pet, Jumba Jogipa, I believe, in Lilo and Stitch franchise, Kamanji in the English duo of Spirited Away, Mr. Piccolo in the English dub of Porco Rosso. He also was in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He was also in the Winnie the Pooh series, American Dragon Jake Long, Iron Will. There's a lot of different Disney roles that he played. So this is definitely a loss for the Disneyverse. Patricia, what are your memories from David
Yes.
Ogden Stiers?
Well, I am an old person, and I do first remember him from MASH. And he has a very iconic voice. But as we learned from his voice acting skills, that not only did sometimes he sound like him, like his Cogsworth was perfect. But then he played all these other voices that sounded nothing like him. And usually when they have that singular sounding voice, you're not lucky enough to be able to do other kinds of voices. So it was always cool when, oh my God, he was in that too? Really?
Right, exactly. And so, this is one of those characters, and Terry, I know that you want to chime in on this as well too, but this is really a character that was very diverse and really had a long-standing career. I mean, he really wasn't typecast in just doing television. He did a lot of animation as well.
Yes, he did. Actually, I'm not an old person, but my mom is an old person, so I remember him from MASH too.
Okay, I'm not telling your mom.
Yeah, I definitely remember his cartoon voice roles. Lilo and Stitch, Gotta Love Zumba, Beauty and the Beast, duh. I mean, voice actors are interesting because a lot of times you don't realize what they're connected to until you see the giant list of what they're in, and you're like, "Holy cow, they are in like everything."
Yeah. Well, I was looking through his IMDb and just, I mean, everything. He's been in a lot of Disney stuff. I mean, Jungle to Jungle. He was in Iron Will. He also voiced the King and the Prime Minister in the Mary Poppins short, The Cat That Looked at a King. So, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that he did that really, really lent a hand to the Disneyverse. So David Ogden Stiers, again, passing away at age 75. Looks like he had bladder cancer. So another person passing away to just the horrible cancer disease that happens. So again, our thoughts and prayers to the Stiers family. Definitely a person that will be missed in the Disneyverse.
Do you know, when I was a kid, I thought I confused him with Kelsey Grammer. For the longest time, I thought that Kelsey Grammer. I'm like, oh, well, he was on MASH. I thought it was the same character. Went from MASH to Cheers.
I loved, and it's funny you say that because recently, and you're talking about Kelsey Grammer, in the TV show Frasier, his father. I can't think of his name, but he just recently passed away too. I believe he had a cancer as well. So it's definitely sad news there. So, all right. So on to our next story here. It looks like Disney's getting a little bit of issues with, everyone knows, Disney is upgrading their parks. They've got a lot of things going on with their parks. Well, they've been increasing profits. Well, there's some Disney workers that are not too thrilled about that. There's been some picketing going outside the Walt Disney World complex, and there's been some complaints about it. Employees that picketed outside Walt Disney World and complained in writing about being shut out of Disneyland for the annual holiday party. Last week's unions representing park workers in Florida and California filed complaints with the National Labor Relations Board over Disney's decision to, if I can speak, to withhold the special $1,000 tax reform bonus, which is the tax bonus that's under the Trump administration that was just passed recently. While contracts talks are underway, saying the company has discriminated against those staffers. Glenana Shelvin, a 58-year-old who's been working with Disney for almost 30 years, was reported as saying, here's a company that has the best movies about how we got to help one another and how racism is wrong and how we've got to take care of our toys. I don't feel like they take care of me when it comes to my own life. Glendana has said she only makes $15.70 an hour serving wine and is among those waiting for her bonus. Disney did say in a statement that as required by law, compensation packages must be negotiated with the unions, and that bonuses is part of what under negotiations. We represent fair and compelling offers to unions of both coasts, and we hope that this will reach timely agreements with us on behalf of these members. Terry, Patricia, actually, I want to start with you on this one. This is interesting because, I mean, everyone knows Disney makes a ton of money. Everyone knows that Disney, I mean, they're a cash cow. I mean, let's be honest here. They make tons of money, but this could be something that they might need to be careful of because there's, I don't want to get into a political discussion. That's not what the show's about, but this kind of goes into that a little bit because if Disney is being portrayed as this mega juggernaut and they're not paying their employees well, this could very well be a problem for the amount of the Mouse brand.
Absolutely, it's. I mean, who are we kidding? We've known forever that Disney's a business, and when before they used to be kind of good at hiding the fact that they were a business. They kind of made it. It was all about family and fans and things like that. And, I was very happy with the way that Disney ran everything. It seemed like everybody was pretty well taken care of. But now it just feels like that veil has slipped. It's gone. And now all I see, and I still enjoy Disney, but I just see a lot of, unfairness and stuff that just really gets to me. And it actually does make it a little bit hard for me to even enjoy going to Disneyland because a lot of people that I encounter at Disneyland, I'm just like, I work in the dental field, and the amount of people that I see that work there that have horrible teeth and horrendous breath and just don't look like they're been taken care of, it makes me feel really bad because I'm like thinking, this place makes so much money. They should be able to pay their employees well, even better than a living wage, because it's supposed to be about, spreading the wealth around, and they're not. They clearly are not. And it's just really sad.
Yeah, there have been times when I've talked about working for Disney, but I do cakes, and I have said repeatedly one of the reasons I would have a really difficult time working for Disney is it has not been a secret to me that they don't tend to be very high paying unless you have one of those high managerial jobs. And I don't think I'd be making enough to make it in California, which is, the easier step for me living in Nevada. I don't think I'd be making wages to live in California doing what I do for a living. And I've had friends who work for both California and Florida who love the concept of the company, who loved working for the company and making guests happy. But general consensus among former cast members is I loved it, but I wouldn't do it again because I can't make it that way. They don't make enough.
Yeah, and especially if you're talking about...
And it's the hard thing anytime.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, having grown up in many tourist places, one of the things that is so hard, and I feel that so often the companies do miss, even a great company like Disney, is that it is harder, whether you're working at a ski resort or you're working in Honolulu or you're working at Disneyland. That is a high cost area. Housing is more, food is more, travel is more, transportation is more. And if you are just paying me minimum wage, because I remember making $2.50 an hour in Honolulu. And let me tell you, my rent was not that cheap. And sometimes the companies completely miss it. And sadly, this is not the first time that Disney has had this problem. Walt actually fired his entire staff once because they tried to form a union. And it's one of the few times that I actually am very saddened by Walt Disney's actions. Because he thought, well, we're a big family, and he was paying people more than other people were. Why doesn't his staff understand that? But he was missing the point that, someday you will pass, and who's to say the company's going to keep doing that?
Well,
and I'm really sad that they're doing this again, and they're failing their people who make so many of us so happy.
what makes it a little bit difficult, a lot of people argue, well, it's a business, and if they charge more, then, inflation and all that. Okay, no.
Thank you.
Because they're making there are employees that are paid $1 million bonuses, and
yes,
to keep the economy healthy in that area, don't you want your employees to be able to both make a living wage and then be able to go and spend that money back at your park? Because if they're not paying rent, they're not going to be spending money at the park. They're not going to be happy. How you make a positive work environment and home environment is you make people feel happy and comfortable and not like they're struggling all the time. And we know they have the money to do it.
Well, just looking on Google, just the average rent in Anaheim is about $1,800 a month.
I can't afford that.
And that's more than my mortgage that I pay here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's totally insane. How's anybody supposed to live on that? You can't.
Yeah.
Especially if you're making minimum wage. And I just read an article that said that the CEO of Disney got $100 million in bonuses this last year. $100 million.
You know why that is? Because they made more money, so they gave him more money instead of giving employees.
And sadly, that's a typical corporate response, as someone who has worked in the corporate universe, to where the top gets the money and the people, no offense, actually doing the work often don't reap those rewards.
I really hope the point for there are companies now who are doing better in that respect. They pay their wages.
Yes.
They offer benefits. I hope it's swinging in the direction that happens more often, and maybe Disney will get the memo.
Yes. Well, here's the thing that's really surprising. Disney has historically kind of been at the forefront. They were the first ones to offer benefits to same-sex couples. They offered benefits to, families, even if there was no marriage certificate. I mean, they had all these things that they did with health insurance and survival benefits and all these things that no other company was doing yet. And now fast forward, and it's like they're way behind in the wages.
It's because corporate America has gotten so greedy. I mean, it's way greedier than it's ever been. And
it kind of really is shattering.
Yeah. Now, people don't care about other people anymore. They only care about their own pocketbook.
People would make like 25 times what the average worker would make, and now they're making like 500 times what the average worker makes.
Exactly.
Right.
The gap has gotten ridiculous.
Let me interject real quick. Let me ask you guys a quick question. If you guys know this, please say something. Do Disney park employees get free admission?
Yes.
Yes, but not as much.
No, that used to be unlimited. Now they're limited to something like 12 a year or something like that.
Okay.
You have a limited number of people you're allowed to sign in, and a limited amount of days a year you're allowed to use it.
Okay, so it's not like they're getting like, if I work at like the local amusement park, or not an amusement park, but like a local water park here locally, or any other location, I can't just walk in and say, hey, I'm here, let's go out and play. No, they have to basically, they only get like once basically per month is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately and I remember, I think it was 2-3 years ago when they announced a major cut down in how many days and how many family members they could bring in. There was a big uproar. But at the time, there were promises made, and I don't think a lot of those promises were kept because it was during the recession and there was all the complaining going on that I completely understand, because I took multiple jobs.
Yeah.
But, but now things, and they're clearly doing better. All you have to do is pull up their P&L sheet and their balance sheet, which is public because they are a publicly traded company.
Right.
And you can see the profit and you can see what their executives make, because that's required by the SEC to report. So you know what they're doing, you know what they're making, and you're thinking, why the hell are they paying someone minimum wage? No one at Disneyland should make minimum wage.
I also don't like the argument, if you don't like the wages, work somewhere else. Oh, okay, minimum wage is supposed to be the minimum allowed to survive. It's not supposed to be a high school kid just with an extra job. That's not what that's not what Disneyland is staffed by. Anybody working full time should be able to pay their bills. Period.
Yeah, they were saying, I saw an article that said, in the 70s, someone could work a minimum wage job and they could support a spouse and a child and still retire with a pension.
Yeah.
There's no way anybody can do that now. You can't, even with both parents.
Now people think just move in with roommates. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
I grew up with 2 brothers and sisters. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's not fine. So I
already did that penance.
So I'm going to leave it with this because, I mean, we could talk about this all day. I mean, we can absolutely talk about this all day. But basically, Disney is one of those companies, and you can make the argument like some fast food places. Okay, well, you screwed up my burger. You don't get $15 an hour or something like that. Some companies, you may not be willing to give them more than just the minimum wage because of maybe they have certain prices and stuff. Disney's one of those companies, they can afford it. They can afford to pay their employees a whole lot more than just getting off minimum wage. I mean, that's one of those things.
Especially what they require the employees to know and act on.
Right.
Yes.
High standards.
Exactly. So again, we'll talk. I mean, that's more thing that we can get into a whole episode about the future of Disney, and that's
true.
Getting down the line. So before we go on, just want to send you guys a quick reminder. If you do like this video, if you do like our stream, a couple things I do want to let you guys know about. Definitely go ahead and click on that like button down below on the description. As well, you can also donate to the show so we can afford to maybe go to Disney one day, for all 5 of us, which is like a lot of money, but that's okay. Also, we are doing a Facebook push. Now, you guys have probably seen, if you've seen our Facebook page, facebook.com/Disneyverse, we are doing a contest. We're going to start doing contests once a month. Our March promotion is we're giving away a movie through the Disney Vault called Coco. Just came out on DVD not too long ago. Basically, the deal is that you have to be a fan of the Disneyverse podcast fan page to be eligible, and you have to share it. So you can't just be a fan of the page. You have to be a fan of the page, and you have to like the page, and you have to share it. So that's the condition in order for you to be involved. If you're just liking the fan page but not sharing it, you are not eligible. So we'll update that Facebook post probably later on this afternoon. But again, you have to like the page and you have to share it. If you do not do that, you're not eligible to win the DVD. So our April 1st edition, which will be our live Easter edition of the Disneyverse podcast, we will announce our winner, and then subsequently we will announce it on Facebook as well. So the main purpose of today's episode is the Disneyland, Disney World, Disney movies, sponsored by Fox, 20th Century, all that kind of fun stuff. So,
all the different companies they own now.
Exactly. Now, keep in mind there is Deadpool. We actually talked about this before we came on the air. We're gonna hold off on Deadpool just because it's rated R. Which is a pirate's favorite movie, but it's also one of those movies that's not. It's not really a kid-friendly movie. You're not going to see a Deadpool character walking around Fantasyland, which would actually be pretty freaking hilarious.
Darn it!
I know. So, but these movies,
I would pay for that.
I know. But if you guys want to know,
that would be a Disney After Dark promotion.
Oh yes. Okay, we've now given the idea we should all get a 10% break.
Okay, if we just had this discussion, if Disney is not paying their employees, you think they're going to give us a 10% discount? Probably not. So
yeah, probably not.
We will actually probably end up paying them for that. So anyway, so these are the movies. So these are the movies that are coming out by Disney, Marvel, 20th Century Fox that are age appropriate. The first one already came out, which is you probably have heard of this movie, Black Panther. I know people were waiting patiently to see this movie until we gave our full review. So, Black Panther just came out. It's making billions of dollars. This was really the first movie that came out of the new year. Marvel has hit another home run.
Oh yes.
This basically is going to set it up for the Avengers movie later on, but this really is a milestone movie for a lot of reasons. It's not just the fact that you look at the fact that it's a predominantly African American cast. Let's not kid ourselves here, but it's also the soundtrack. If you guys have heard the soundtrack and the musical score to this movie, it's something that's not really. It just has a feel that it's not Disney Marvel. It feels differently, but it feels good. It's a good beat and it's got a good soundtrack to it.
And it's actually already done phenomenal. Before the movie even came out, the soundtrack had the most number of downloads of any other album in this country.
So there you go. So I'm sure because we have now told you to go see it. I'm sure everyone's going to now go see this movie. So the Disneyverse podcast has said,
You
please.
mean the 3 people who have not seen it yet?
Well, I have not. I have not seen that movie, but I will be here soon. So, before
You haven't seen Black Panther?
I have not seen Black Panther yet.
Oh.
I'll go with you.
I'm waiting till there's 4 or 5 people. And then what I'm hoping for, because I've been sick. Okay, so I've been sick like crazy, and I've been sick forever. I mean, it sounds.
Yeah.
I sound like I feel like I feel like I'm gonna die any moment here. But I'm gonna re-sound like James Earl Jones. Talking about the boy with his baseball, and baseball is a great sport. All that kind of stuff. So, Okay, so basically, before we get into summer, Marvel's next movie will follow T'Challa, which is Chadwick Boseman, after the events of Captain America's Civil War. After the death of his father, he returns home to take his rightful place as King of Wakanda. That's not going to sit well with an old foe. So why should you see it? Well, I mean, who hasn't seen it here? So the star-studded cast includes Forrest Whitaker, Angela Bassett, Andy Serkis, I think? Serkis, I always think of Serkis. Serkis,
It's
yeah.
Circus.
Lupita Nyong'o, Michael B. Jordan, and The Walking Dead's actress Danae Guerrera. Fans have been waiting since Black Panther's first comic book appearance in 1966 for the character to get some recognition on the big screen. So, we all know this is going to be a movie that everyone's going to want to watch, and it's still going out to see it. I'm waiting for. I feel like I'm 79 years old. I'm just going to wait till all those kids go back to school and start watching it. But that's okay. So obviously, it's going to be a movie that is it's winning money. It's setting records in the box office. It's one I saw somewhere just before on air. It was #1 again. But I do think the next movie that comes out in the Disney list here will probably supplant that, and that is Disney's A Wrinkle in Time. Now, the rest of these movies we have not seen because, obviously, they have not been released yet. Disney's A Wrinkle in Time is released on March 9th, and what this movie is about is Meg Murray, who's played by Storm Reed, goes on a search for her father, which is played by Chris Pine, with the help of 3 celestial guides played by Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling. It looks like if you guys have read the books, if you've seen how the movie or the books have played out, this so far the trailer looks like it, but there's always going to be that Disney twist.
Well, I'm one of the ones that has not seen or not read the book.
I haven't either.
So I
recommend
no clue.
it.
I recognize the name. I remember hearing it growing up, but I never had the chance to read it. And so when I saw the trailer, I was just like, wow, I did not even think that book was anything about like what I saw.
Now I did hear
title.
Terry say that she has read the book. Give us a little, I mean, without spoilers, give us like a synopsis on what the book's about.
No, I haven't read the book. I mean, the movie looks like it's beautiful sci-fi, but I haven't read the book.
Oh, who's read the book?
I have. It's
okay.
Vicky.
Okay, Vicky. So what's the synopsis of the book? What's about?
Well, and it's a series of books, and it's a little hard to describe without giving it all away. It was the first science fiction book I wrote, and it was actually from the 60s. And it wasn't the cute little unicorns, but they got the cute stuff in there too. But it's an amazing story of finding yourself, strong female characters, family. Kind of everything Disney's about, actually. It's really fun. I can't believe they didn't do this one before. But, so you've got the science, and, God, it's so hard to express.
I know there's, time travel kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
From what I surmise, like I said, I haven't read it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the David Tennant explanation of time travel. The timey-wimey stuff. Because nothing's really linear. What you thought wasn't real is real. And it's kind of, since I know many of you are fans of Doctor Who, if you love some of the Tom Baker years and the David Tennant years, you actually will love this movie.
I've never heard of Doctor Who.
Because it has a lot of that same feel.
I don't know anyone who's ever seen Doctor Who. I mean, especially Patricia. I'm sure she's never seen Doctor Who either. But, I mean, and she's never been to anything.
No, never heard of it.
She's never been to any kind of Doctor Who festival, especially in Southern California at the Los Angeles Marriott. She's never been anything like that. So. Never been to something like that.
Don't do another Doctor Who podcast.
Just go with an open mind and enjoy the ride. I think that the more you talk about what happens in it, it gives everything away because everything's connected, and it's one of those ones that's actually hard to describe without spoilers.
Now, I have not read A Wrinkle in Time, but I read a lot of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Narnia Chronicles. I read those books. What I'm worried about is because, okay, so Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe came out several years ago, and I was really excited. When I saw the trailer, I literally was like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's amazing. And then I saw the movie, and I was let down. Are you guys worried? I mean, Vicky, you can probably answer this question better than us. Are you worried that there's going to be a letdown in this? I know books and movies don't really correspond well, but are you worried that there's going to be a real letdown with this movie?
I think there's going to be a certain amount. It's the same like with the Narnia, because how do you get all that magic from one book? I mean, you saw it with the Harry Potters too. It's, you've got an awful lot of stuff going on in a book, no matter how small it is. How the hell do you fit it in a 2-hour movie or an hour and a half? I will always sit there and watch them and go, well, I would have included this bit. That was great, but you only captured this much of the book. You guys missed all this. Why isn't this in there? And my boys will tell you that it's hilarious. I go to a movie that's based on a book I like. I bitch and I moan. I leave and and then I go back and I watch the movie just as a movie and pretend I didn't know the book and enjoy it for what it is, because they can never capture everything you've got in a book. They just can't.
And it's almost dangerous to read the book first on a lot of those things.
Yeah. Vicky, you and I are one and the same in that. That's exactly how I was for every single Harry Potter book. It was pick it apart the first time, and then once I know what to expect for the movie, I can go back and rewatch it and then enjoy it for what it is.
Because I now enjoy the Harry Potter movies. I enjoy the Narnia movies because I recognize that they are a microcosm of the universe that I fell in love with. And I think that this is actually going to be the same way, because I'm concerned they're spending so much on the visual, which, yes, is important. I'm hoping they don't lose some of the nuances of the story. Because this is a story of a fish out of water, someone who doesn't follow the norm. Sound familiar? Every Marvel movie ever made. It just, you've got that thing that we all can identify with. The teachers look at us funny. Everyone looks at us funny. I have a belief. No one else believes me. And I'm going to go out and prove the world wrong. I'm hoping they capture some of that beautiful essence that I, as an outsider kid, really enjoyed when I read the book.
That's the hope, and that's the hope whenever you're in a book. Or watching a movie from watching that, Terry. I don't know if you, Terry, have seen any movies that have come with books. Obviously, you think of movies that have been just as well as with the book. You're thinking Lord of the Rings, but are there any movies that you've seen before that you read the book and you saw the movie and you're thinking, oh, this is almost as good as the book?
I normally try and separate the two. The only one that I really remember reading first was Harry Potter. But after seeing movies, I literally read the entire Lord of the Rings twice. I've read the Divergent series. The Hunger Games series, all of those, but I normally like to watch the movie first and then read the book, so I'm not so upset. So that's probably what I'll do with Wrinkle in Time, because then it basically, going backwards, it expands the universe instead of why did they leave that out?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, the first two Harry Potter movies were actually the most similar to the books.
Yes.
And then after that one, they just screwed it up as far as I'm concerned.
And a lot of times, but you worry though, because I think it's okay, they want to try to get close to the book as possible because they know people are going to be nitpicking this. But you also have to look at the fact that eventually they have to kind of speed up the story and they have to kind of go with more of the character development and keeping with some of the ties with the books. But you also have to understand that, okay, we need to kind of keep things going as far as more cinema more than anything else.
Right, because you can't not fit in all those subplots you can get in a book. I feel that the choices that, perfect example, Peter Jackson made choices about things to expand and things to contract, but he kept the essence of the story. Now, most of the Harry Potter, I think even the later ones, they had the right feel for the time period of the book. Where they were in their development, where they were in their age, where they were in the saga they were on. And so they had the emotion. And a lot of times I see a film that captures the emotion or the soul part of a story without going into all the plots and the subplots, which I may love, but have to recognize there's no physical way.
Right.
Unless you're going to do a miniseries for everything.
Right, which sometimes books, that's where they need to go. And I mean, if they need to do a miniseries, then that's fine. And I think people would appreciate that more. So anyway, so March 9th, Wrinkle in Time, why you should see this movie, 4 words, Oprah's in it. I mean, that's, that's...
That is a good reason.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it right there.
And
but
I think most people will actually enjoy it.
Oh, they will. And this is one that I think a lot of people, and this is going to really progress with a lot of generations. It's not just, Harry Potter was really for, there was the younger audience, there was more of the younger crowd, honestly with that. But this is a book or a movie that's going to resonate with a lot of people from the older crowds and the newer crowds. So
yes,
this is really going to resonate with a lot of people, a lot of age groups, a lot of generations. So March 9th, expect this movie to supplant Black Panther as the #1 box office movie, calling it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Next movie is Avengers Infinity War, which was scheduled to come out May 4th, but news came out earlier this week that this movie has changed. It is now going to be April 27th. This third Avengers movie will unite the group with Spider-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and more as they go up against Gamora's father, Thanos, which is played by Josh Brolin. Apparently, Josh Brolin will also be bringing the gang from the Goonies movie, so we'll see about that. Just kidding.
Yes! No, sorry.
I
would so pay to see that.
That'll be when he plays Cable in the Deadpool movie.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It'd be funny if he's like getting like beaten up and like Iron Man's about ready to end his life, and all of a sudden you see out of the distance, "Hey, you guys!" and he comes out. Sorry. Anyway,
I love a good mashup.
I know.
No, not this is kind of, but I know we're not supposed to be talking Deadpool, but at the end of the trailer, when he's sitting on the couch next to his roommate, he's wearing the same exact Hawaiian shirt that Chunk wears in Goonies.
Oh, little Easter egg.
Go back and watch that one now.
So I have a feeling that there's going to be some Goonies jokes in there.
Oh,
God,
there has to be. He's been
that would make me so happy.
Well, that would be awesome. So, so in the movie, he's been slowly curating 6 powerful Infinity Stones that have been appeared throughout the Marvel's many movies. So a lot of the stones are going to be tied into one here. Disney's official synopsis is the Avengers and their superhero allies must be willing to sacrifice all in an attempt to defeat the power of Thanos before his blitz of devastation and ruins puts an end to the universe. So there's a lot of expectations. Obviously, this movie's going to make billions of dollars. It's got Black Panther.
And this is only part 1. You do know that.
Exactly. And I was just going to mention that this is just part 1. Part 2, I believe, comes out next year around the same time.
Yes.
I think, when it's going to be. There's going to be it's going to be very interesting because this movie and the next movie we're going to talk about in just a moment are going to pretty much be 1-2 for revenue movie making of the year. I think the movie that we're talking about now, Avengers, and the next one, which is the Han Solo story, is going to supplant Black Panther for revenue. But it's going to be close. I mean, it's
quite
really
possible. Yes,
it's going to be very, very close. So,
Michael.
Yes,
they decided not to make it into 2 movies.
They did not.
Yes.
So is this going to be a 6-hour movie, or I mean, what are we?
No. They just decided that they were not going to.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Because on the Disney site, they still say that there's the second movie is coming out in 2009.
Well, I know that they have other movies coming out, but as far as Infinity War, it's only going to just be the one part.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. So we'll see about that. I mean, I would think that they would have to have something. I mean, I'm just, you just Google Avengers Infinity War Part 2. There's like fan trailers that I'm saying it's going to be made in 2019. But, I mean, I don't know. That's interesting. That is very, very interesting if they only did one movie. I mean, they got.
I'll sit through it. It's okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll make this.
I mean, there's still going to be a fourth Avengers movie, but it's just not going to be Infinity War Part 2.
I'll sit through all the movie.
Yeah.
I have no problem. I'll make that sacrifice. I'll sit
I
through all
yeah,
this.
I don't care either.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll watch it.
I know.
Now, and also,
Clearly, we're all diehards here. It's okay.
well,
No.
absolutely. Now, this will also be listed. This is also one of those movies that I also want to see, not just in the theater, and I think I want to see this movie in the theater first, but also maybe see in the drive-in. I think this could be a good drive-in movie as well.
Oh boy, does that bring back memories?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, and I actually have missed some of the Avengers movies because superheroes are probably the one realm that I am like not as excited about. The most exciting part for me about Avengers Infinity War are the Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther.
Well, come to my house. We'll do a marathon.
All right. Yeah, because I think I've missed like 2 or 3 of the Avengers movies, but I've seen all the there's only 2. Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther.
Well,
I actually have all of them.
It's interesting that, and I think Marvel has done a really good job, really from Iron. I mean, you can go as far back as Iron Man, just really tying in a lot of these movies into things. How they've been able to, have everything be kind of linked into an actual story, and they're letting it build, not just rushing through and say, "Oh, here, let's get everything out at once." Guardians of the Galaxy has been around for about 4 or 5 years, and this is their real first time being shown. So, I mean, they've done a really great job with continuing this, and I don't see any kind of changes whatsoever. But I guess the question is, does anyone right now on the air want to take a guess on any superheroes that's going to die?
Well, it depends on whether or not they're going to follow the comic book it's based on.
I have one right now. I'm gonna make a prediction right now. I think Captain America. I think Captain America is gonna die.
Well, he dies so often in the comic books, and he quits so often in the comic books.
I know
that.
That's true. That's true. So that's my prediction.
I still love him, but he totally quits all the time.
Patricia, what about you? Do you think any superheroes are going to pass away in this one?
Well, I'm wondering if Thor is going to die.
No,
because I know. I don't want him to either, but Chris Hemsworth is not going to play Thor anymore, so I tend to think that maybe, but of course he could just go back to Asgard and
well,
just
and
go away.
There were additional Thors after him.
True. Well.
And actually, that's true of just about every superhero character because some of these characters have been around since the 40s. I have not been around that long, but But it is interesting the number of times in the comic books that the characters go away, someone else takes on the mantle. Sometimes the originals come back, sometimes they don't. I mean, there was a big prediction that Bucky Barnes was going to take over after Civil War, because he does in the comic books, but then Chris Evans said he was coming back, so.
Well, maybe that'll happen at the end of this.
That could be.
Could be.
Because there's actually a couple of different Captain Americas, a couple different other people who were Captain America in the comic books. So it'll definitely be interesting to see.
We're going to have to talk about this. We might even do maybe like a group movie, and then afterwards we'll do like a live recap of it or something like that, where we just we spoil the you-know-what out of it. So.
Well, see, but they kind of screwed me by changing the date, because I'm throwing my sister's wedding at my house the next day on the 28th.
Uh-huh.
Well,
and so now I can't go see this movie opening night. I'm a little pissed off.
Well, okay, so the wedding. Wait, hold on. So the wedding is the 28th. So the movie will come out the 27th. Knowing how movies are, they will show this movie on the 26th.
Midnight. Yeah.
My entire family will be at my house, and if I sneak out to go see it, I mean, all my brothers and sisters are coming in. My parents are flying in. This really sucks. Although I know we'll be talking all in the belly. I'm sorry.
Settle down,
Actually,
Vicky.
to be honest, most of my family would go see this movie. So if I convince my sister that we have to do this instead of a rehearsal dinner, she might go for it.
So the most important
she just might go.
You can try.
Well, the most important thing you have to do is tickets are going to be on sale pretty soon, so you really need to keep an eye on your movie
I'm going to email them all
choice.
and say, okay, how many tickets you want? I'm buying them now.
Well, that's what you need to do. I mean, we've had friends that have purchased theaters out for Star Wars, which was incredibly awesome to have happen. But
Yeah.
the recourse of that was not fun. So, anyway, so
I know.
why should we see it? Well, because it's Infinity. It's also Disney, but it's one of the movies events of the year. Infinity War may be bigger than Star Wars. So we'll get into this. Just see how every single one of Disney's Marvel characters appeals on the big screen together, fighting alongside each other to take down a team of baddies. If you've been interested in any of the Disney Marvel movies for the last decade, this is the moment you have been waiting for. So everyone for the Avengers, Marvel, all this, they joined forces. In fact, I'm looking at the picture right now. They're all running, and it's going to be.
And you know that
awesome.
the official press release says that there are 37 main characters in this movie.
Oh my gosh! Wow, they had to pay some people.
I wonder how many trailers that they needed for like movie trailers.
Just to list them all.
At least 37.
Can you imagine the budget on this movie? Oh my god!
I could just imagine if you're like someone just walking down the street and you see like this movie being made, like, oh, it's an RV sale going on or something like that. Oh no, they're just it's just a movie of the Marvel Avengers. So.
Oh yeah, just another Marvel movie.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Exactly. So, all right. So, Avengers comes out April 27th. Vicky will not be there, so we'll forget about her. But anyway, moving on.
Nope, we're gonna figure out a way.
That's right. So, we have the big one in this movie. It's interesting because this is a Memorial Day flick. It is it's a low budget, hopefully up and coming franchise known as Star Wars. This one is a spin-off movie. It's Han Solo. Han Solo gets his own movie, Solo Star Wars story. We're going to finally figure out not only if he shoots first, but also how he's able to get
I don't think they will explain that.
Yeah, when we also
don't worry, he did.
We also figure out why does Woody Harrelson from Cheers, if he shows up, if they play the Cheers music, I will just crack up laughing. It's like in the movie Batman versus Robin, and you see Chris O'Donnell's like, "Holy rusted metal, Batman!" You see George Clooney like, "Huh?" It's like, "Oh, it's holy, it's metal, it's holy metal." Okay, that's fine. So this movie comes out Memorial Day weekend. It's younger Han Solo gets his own standalone movie about his early adventures with Chewbacca and Lando.
Now you do realize that that's the anniversary date of the first Star Wars movie, which came out May 25th.
I thought it was May 19th.
1977.
Oh yeah, okay. Here's Lucasfilm's official synopsis. Throughout a series of daring escapes deep within a dark and dangerous criminal underworld, Han Solo meets his mighty future co-pilot Chewbacca and encounters the notorious gambler Lando Calrissian in a journey that will set the course in one of the Star Wars saga's most unlikeliest of heroes. So the trailer, which is funny because we hadn't seen any kind of trailers come out until the Super Bowl. And then they finally gave us something to kind of snack on, which I was very excited about. But it looked like, if you looked at the actual trailer, it looked like, I mean, I could be wrong, but was Han Solo going to be a pilot for the Imperial, or was he just trying to be a spy? I mean, it looks like it's something that, could be a part of that.
It is intriguing.
This might have been before the rebellion started.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't really know.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It could be one of those things where it might tie into, not really tie in, but it might be maybe on the same lines, maybe about 10 years before Rogue One. Maybe when Rogue One was coming out there. Maybe when Darth Vader.
Yeah, because this is supposed to be shortly after Episode 3.
Well, this should be shortly, because if you look at Harrison Ford and you look at Alden Ehrenreich, I believe is the name of the actor who is playing Han Solo. If you look at his picture, he looks like if you look at his face then, and then you look at it, obviously in Episode 4, he looks like he's a little bit, he looks like about 10, 15 years younger, maybe, maybe 10, I don't know, maybe 8, I don't know. But,
it's hard.
Yeah.
He's 28, so.
Okay, so this probably is
the actor, but yeah.
I'm going to say probably 5-10 years then. I'm going to say that's probably going to be the case. So, so obviously this is, another spin-off of the Star Wars movies. We're going to be getting more down the line. I think they're talking about a Bounty Hunter one coming out soon. I still think, and
which of course everyone wants to see a Boba Fett movie.
Well, you know what? There is kind of if you remember Episode 2, the clone movie, there was kind of that story with when his father
Yes.
passed away. So I mean, there is that story that could have that whole, maybe more of an emotional attachment to it before he joins with the Empire. But I still think to this day that they really need to make a standalone Darth Vader movie. I mean, in between episode 3 and 4, just do a standalone. Because if you follow the books and you follow the comics and you follow everything that happened with his character development, there's a lot of issues with him just fighting his inner demons and how he might be turning into a good guy again, and how the Empire.
You just can never see the amount of pathos that has to happen in Darth Vader, because he feels like he's conflicted from day one to the last day.
Exactly.
Aren't
I would
episodes 1,
love
2,
to see
3,
that.
4, 5, and 6 basically just Darth Vader's story?
Well, yeah, but I think...
Yeah, but it's everybody else. I want to know him. I want to see his actual drama, not someone else's interpretation of his drama.
I see.
If you look at him though in episode 3, you just think of him as a spoiled brat, that he just has got these issues. But I know there's more to him than just being a guy under the mask.
And then in episode 4, he's actually only on screen for 18 minutes out of the entire movie. So there's a lot.
True.
Yeah,
was it even that long?
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Wow.
So,
now I am one of the few people that I am like really skeptical about this Han Solo movie, because I do not like the actor that they have playing Han Solo. I just don't see Han Solo in this guy at all.
It's hard when you have someone who's so iconic as Harrison Ford, who has been the embodiment most of my life of Han Solo or Indiana Jones. And the idea of someone else stepping into those feet kind of makes me uncomfortable. It's weird. It's like your mother died and someone else walks in, and it's a Stepford wife.
I'll go a step further. It's like a soap opera. When you watch a soap opera, the character of this person will be played today by blah blah blah. You see that
exactly.
It's something differently. So I can see where Trish is coming from with the whole, because I mean I've never heard of the character. I've never heard of the actor before, but
no,
it's going to be interesting. It's really interesting to see how he's going to play this off, and I'm hoping that it doesn't ruin his career, but I think it's going to.
Yeah,
I think it's going to, and you're always going to think about because like Rogue One, you didn't really have characters that were played prior to that. It was you saw Vader in it for a couple of scenes, and you saw a couple of people in there that you saw,
but
before.
it didn't rewrite anything.
Right. Did any of you see the movie The Age of Adeline?
I have not.
No.
I think.
They had an actor in there that plays Harrison Ford as a young man. His name's Anthony Gruber. And he has the same attitude, the same inflections, that he looks like Harrison Ford. And everyone was saying that he should have been the one that they cast as Han Solo.
Oh.
And I have to agree. I think that he would have been amazing in it. And I don't know if maybe that's just clouding my judgment on this other guy, but the other guy, I saw him in that Hail Caesar movie, and I hated it. I hated that movie. I hated his whole part. And so it makes me very skeptical. And then about a year ago, there was a story that came out that said that in the middle of production, they had to bring in acting coaches for this guy. And that's not a good sign.
That's not good.
Especially when he was surrounded by some pretty heavy, strong actors.
I'm really excited to see Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian.
That's my main reason for seeing the movie.
It might be one of those characters where he kind of carries the movie. I mean, that concerns me if you have someone that's coming out and we got to get him an acting coach to try to get him along. So I mean that's not good.
No, that's not. And I love Billy D. Williams, but I think that Glover, like you said with this other actor for Harrison Ford, is just Glover I think he really can play Billy D. Williams. And Lando is Billy D. Williams. I mean, he really is like that.
But I think if you have the type of personality, and Donald Glover has that personality. I mean, he has the personality to carry this. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. But that concerns me with that news that Trish just said. So I'm like now like very very nervous. So thank you, Patricia, for ruining my Star Wars experience this year. So I appreciate.
Well,
that.
you know what though? I'm hoping that we'll all be pleasantly surprised, and maybe if we go in a little skeptical, maybe it'll actually really blow us away.
I know.
I do hope so.
I hope so too.
Star Wars has a big name to live up to, so you can't make a crappy. Okay, well,
no, you just can't. I'm hoping that because Ron Howard, who is both a actor and a director that I've really admired over the years, he's taken a few left steps, but that's okay. And I'm really hoping that his ability to tell a story will make it all work.
Well, and it's funny you say that because, Phil Lord and Chris Miller were the original directors of this movie, but they left the movie after creative differences, quote unquote, with Lucasfilm. So Emilia Clarke is in the movie. Donald Glover, we mentioned Woody Harrelson. Is going to be serving up alcohol with Ted Danson on Behind the Bar at Cheers. But we'll have to wait and see if...
And it's written by the guy who directed Empire Strikes Back, not to mention has been a writer, director, or sub-director of many Star Wars films.
Well, Empire Strikes Back Empire Strikes Back is still my favorite Star Wars movie. I mean, it's been close.
It's so good.
I know. Empire, it's been close. It has almost been defeated, but I've ended up where I've still kept it. So again, May the 25th, it is a Memorial Day weekend. I will be going to see it. I'm not sure now what the prognosis of the movie is, but we know it's going to make a bunch of money. So next one is the first animated feature of the 2018 Disney movies, and it is a pretty hyped up one. It's The Incredibles 2. Comes out June 15th.
It's been 5 bazillion years since the last one.
Well,
it has been. It's been so long.
Well, here's the funny thing. So the movie came out in 2004. The first one did. The Incredibles family attempts to settle into a routine life as a superhero family. Helen is now fighting crime while Mr. Incredible is staying at home raising the kids and learning more about baby Jack-Jack's increasing super abilities. They won't last long as they will have to team up with their old buddy Frozone to take down a new villain. So right off the bat, the synopsis, if you guys seen the trailer, this kind of continues on the empowerment of women, which I think is fantastic, even to this date. Showing that, you know what, women can be superheroes too. It doesn't have to just be a guy. It's like the Wonder Woman, and you got Helen. Mr. Incredible is staying home now. He's taking care of Jack, which looks like Jack's going to have some more screen time. He's going to play a pretty important character in this. But I think it's interesting because this all ties into kind of some of the Disney theme parks that are coming out, with Pixar Land that's coming out and everything. So
this release is literally a week before the Incredicoaster opens.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that open. I was just going to mention that because the old California Scream, which I'm still sad about. Don't get me wrong. I love that roller coaster with the whole Beach Boys and all that stuff. But I've seen some of the videos that have come out about what this roller coaster is going to look like and how Pixar Pier is going to look like. So I'm like, okay, it's all right. I'll be all right with it. I'm still mad about Tower of Terror, so I can still say that. So.
Yeah. Although I will tell you that the new overlay of Guardians of the Galaxy is actually phenomenal.
It is.
And I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan.
See, I love
it. But they did a fabulous job.
Well, and they did. And I've seen a lot of different things with that, but it's just it's the Tower of Terror.
Go to Florida.
Oh,
it's better.
All right.
That is true.
All right,
Florida still has it.
All right, I'll go. I'm going. Oh, that's fine. So we've been waiting 14 years for the sequel. This actually is not the longest sequel in between movies on this list. We will tell you which movie that is here in just a little bit because there is a movie that has over 50 years we've been waiting for. But don't say anything.
Okay.
Don't say anything.
Nope.
We've been waiting for.
I love it. You made me think.
I know. All right, so the original director is in this movie. Brad Bird is back. He's brought the original cast along too. So everyone from the first one will be in this movie again,
except for the ones who passed away,
and except for the kid that did Dash's voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, because he now sounds like a man. Funny thing.
Yeah.
Hello, father.
That kind of happens after.
I can see Dash now. Hello, father. I am a 7-year-old boy, and I sound really.
I really believe you.
I just finished my first day of second grade. It was great. So yes, I mean this. You can't go wrong with Disney animation. This is one of those movies. Again, it's a Disney animated movie. You're gonna go see it. Just buy the tickets now. Don't even worry about it. Hopefully Vicky doesn't have.
No, I think it's gonna be a hoot and a half.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully Vicky doesn't have any sort of weddings that she has planned that weekend. So,
no,
but that's great. So.
Nuh-uh. Not happening.
All right. So
although
next,
I might see Solo in Disneyland. We're gonna see.
Oh well, there you go. Well, they have. Well, I mean, there's actually news on the Downtown Disney. In fact, I know
they're gonna close it.
AMC is actually closing in the next week.
Forever.
That soon?
Yep.
Oh God, I thought we had a couple more months.
They're accelerating the construction at Disney because a lot of their construction at the Star Wars land is starting to really kick into gear there. So they're already working on their next project.
Well, and of course, the new hotel is going to go right over there. So that they wanted to close the theater, and they wanted to close ESPN and the Rainforest Cafe, and all that other fun stuff.
That's all going away. So the next movie coming out actually is kind of an important movie. I wasn't excited about this movie until I saw where the placement was, and now I'm actually very curious. So this movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp. This comes out July 6th. This is the July 4th holiday weekend movie. This film will take place, and this is why I think it's important, because this movie comes out after the events of Captain America Civil War, when Scott Lang is ushered to take on a new mission alongside Hope Van Dyne, which is played by Evangeline Lilly. Plus, on top of that, this also has the Avengers attachment to it as well. So this is going to be interesting. Marvel's official synopsis, Scott Lang grapples with the consequences of his choice as both a superhero and a father. As he struggles to rebalance his home life with his responsibilities as Ant-Man, he's confronted by Hope Van Dyne and Dr. Hank Pym, who is played by Michael Douglas, with an urgent new mission. Scott must once again put the suit on and learn to fight alongside the Wasp as the team works together to uncover secrets from the past. So, again, first movie post Avengers Infinity War. It's going to answer some lingering questions left over from the April movie. And, you know, while we're happy to see more of Red on the big screen, we're more excited to see Lily jump into the Wasp suit. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs more female heroes for young girls, and I think this is going to be one that, you know, Clue's going to be able to do that. So
yes, she's got the ability, the acting ability. She's proven she can do an action movie in The Hobbit. So she's just going to be fabulous, and it's a great character.
Absolutely.
It's one of my favorites from my childhood.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of childhood, you all need to buckle down for this one. I know, Terry and Patricia, especially you two. Christopher Robin.
Oh, I
comes
love
out
Pooh Bear.
August 3rd. This is a live-action movie. So, right off the bat, well, hopefully Tim Burton's not directing this, because if Tim Burton was directing this movie, you know, Helen Bonham Carter would be...
I'd be terrified of Pooh Bear.
No, he's doing Dumbo. He's busy right now.
Exactly, and I'm just going to mention that Dumbo is in production, and she is in that movie, by the way. So, take it for what it's worth. So, the movie will feature a grown-up Christopher Robin reuniting with his childhood friends, including Winnie the Pooh. Instead of Robin heading back to the 100-acre wood, Pooh Bear and his friends will head into the real world to help Robin after he has lost his way. Ewan McGregor is...
Obi-Wan himself.
He will be playing Christopher Robin directly. So, this is very, very, very interesting. Haley Atwell, who plays Agent Carter, will play Robin's wife, and Brad Garrett, with Everyone Loves Raymond, will lend his voice to Eeyore, and Jim Cummings will reprise his role as voicing Pooh Bear. So, exciting right there that the same character from the Pooh Bear is going to be in this movie.
At least the later movies, not the original one.
Right, but but it's still...
I can't picture this. I can't picture this at all.
You do know that one of the Doctor Who's is playing the rabbit, right?
Yeah, I was trying to see who's playing all the other characters, but I didn't see
Peter
that.
Capaldi. Yeah.
Yes, he's playing the
Rabbit,
rabbit, which is perfect.
I hope he does all right post Doctor Who. You know, hopefully he'll be doing fine. But it's interesting because, you know, you take animated classics, and this is my grief and my issues with Disney. They take these animated classics and they turn them into live action movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind maybe one or two, but it starts.
They're going through all of them.
Yeah, they're doing the Jungle Cruise. They're doing Dumbo. They're doing, you know, there's
Aladdin.
You know, yeah, Aladdin, and I mean, it's
look at it this way: they finally have the technology where they can make these things into live action and make them believable.
That's true.
But what's
And-
weird is so many of them were so original or so special to begin with, and I'm concerned that there might be a little bit of a glut and not enough originality going on. Everything's a sequel. Everything's reimagining of something that they already made millions of dollars off of. And it's like, well, what about the magic of Disney? Give me something new.
I think
You have a lot of sequels and remakes here.
There's a lot. And Patricia, I mean, I know that we've talked a little bit about animation before and live action. I mean, what are your thoughts on this movie?
I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know. It's I hate to say this, but it kind of reminds me of Paddington.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of so I'm hoping that it's. I mean, Paddington's cute. It's a fun movie. So I'm hoping that this has a lot of the same vibes to it. And but I understand what you're coming through from, Michael, as well. It seems like there's nothing new coming out in a way. That it's like rehashing.
Exactly.
And-
No.
And the
And
irony
I'm
is
afraid that we're gonna get tired of it, and I
Yeah.
don't want to get tired of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's intriguing that they've got this movie, which is clearly a fanciful movie, but it's coming out just 1 year after the live-action biopic of the real Christopher Robin.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that
Goodbye,
one.
Christopher Robin came out last year. And it just, which is kind of the story of how the stories came about and how his father wrote the stories, why his father wrote the stories, and his life as a grown-up. And so it's a little weird because for the longest time I was watching these, I'm like, hold it, these are two different actors. I'm missing something. Although both of them are from Star Wars, they're not the same person,
Yeah. So
But
I mean,
it
it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how this is going to play out. I just
Yeah.
really, I mean, I love the idea of Christopher Robin being made into a movie, but Disney has really done a lot of rehashing. You've already seen a Maleficent movie. You've already seen a Beauty and the Beast movie. You've already seen a Cinderella. I mean, what are you going to do next? I mean,
Can they really strike lightning that many times? I mean, can they really hit it out of the park the way Beauty and the Beast did or Maleficent did? I don't know. We got Mulan and Aladdin coming out next year. Toy Story 4 is coming out. Dumbo's coming out. And I may love Tim Burton. I'm just not so sure about that movie with him.
well,
Yeah.
okay. So
I
besides,
agree.
might love
It's
it.
like,
Who knows?
can you imagine what Pink Elephants on Parade is going to be?
Oh my god!
I mean,
I'm never gonna
it
get
was
that picture out of my head
crazy
again.
enough as it is, just in the animated one.
Oh.
Johnny Depp better.
Making everything terrifying.
Johnny Depp
like
better be.
Dumbo's cute.
Imagine Johnny
There's
Depp in
something
Dumbo.
about Dumbo that's awfully terrifying. Let me tell you.
Imagine Johnny Depp playing the ringmaster in this movie, and he's like, "Pink elephants on parade." And he's doing the whole Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my god!
So back to reality. So
Yes.
so
But
anyway,
it's still
so
intriguing. It's still a very interesting sounding movie. Sounds like
Yes.
something I'd probably go see. I want some more out of Disney.
yeah. Well, the next movie I think is going to be maybe one of those movies. We're actually getting into the holiday season. There's a little bit of a lull between September and October. We're into November, and I was looking at the list of movies, and I'll explain why I think maybe the release dates are a little bit off. The first movie, in fact, I'll tell you the last three. So, The Nutcracker and the Four Realms comes out November 2nd. We have the next movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. That comes out Thanksgiving weekend. That comes out Wednesday. And then Mary Poppins Returns, which comes out Christmas Day. So, I'm going to say The Nutcracker and the Four Realms should probably have been a Thanksgiving movie. And Ralph Breaks the Internet should have been November 2nd. But nevertheless, I don't make the decisions with Disney, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So, Mackenzie
I will
Floyd,
give
Well,
another.
but they couldn't
why
have the
Wreck-It
Nutcracker
Ralph-
come out in December when all the ballets are going on.
what were you going to say there, Terry?
Wreck-It Ralph should have been November 2nd anyway, because my little sister claims that as her movie because the original came out on her birthday. Guess what her birthday is? November 2nd.
Well, yeah. So Disney just wants to. Yeah. So The Nutcracker in the Four Realms, it's a dark tale of the ETA Hoffman tale. Clara, who's played by Mackenzie Foy, sets off into a magical world to fetch a lost key that will unlock a box from her mother. On her adventure, Clara winds up caught in a struggle to bring peace to 3 different realms. This is probably going to be the strangest of all the movies in the Disney lineup. The holiday feature also feels out of place with everything else. The trailer plays a creepy version of the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, which narrates by Morgan Freeman, who, by the way, if I have my life's in a movie, I want him to play, the voice.
Damn
of
straight.
He makes that familiar tale feel like some dark version of Alice in Wonderland meets Narnia, which is what I thought too, because I saw this and I'm like, this is just like Narnia and Alice in Wonderland.
Well, it's hard because I'm on the board of a local ballet company. I'm a retired dancer. And for me, it's kind of like, no, not doing it for me. Because it's a classic tale. It goes back 150 years. Don't screw with it.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Terry? I mean, what do you think about this movie?
I actually don't know a lot about this movie. I saw a trailer. It looks, again, very like fantasy meets sci-fi, basically.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. I don't know the story that goes with it, but I'm hoping since it's Disney, it's going to be a good one.
Well, and I mean, if you've ever seen,
It's not their first try with a Nutcracker either.
That's the thing too. And I mean, Patricia, I mean, have you seen the Nutcracker play? I think you have before, haven't you?
The ballet?
The ballet, yeah.
Yes, I've seen it a few times, and the the trailer is like, what's going on here? I have no clue. So
Yeah,
I don't know. And actually, for me, this is not one that I am excited for. I'm not like, oh, I gotta go see that opening day. This might even be a let's wait till it's on Netflix movie. So
yeah.
I'm probably there too.
I am really worried because of the placement of the movie. I'm worried about the narration of the movie. I mean, it looks like a great idea. It looks like a fantastic idea. The trailer looks well, but it just seems like it's not the whole. I mean, it seems like it's a little too. I mean, there's some parts of a movie where you can get dark and then you can get dark, and this one might be going on to that. It's getting dark type of movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. So I don't know. It looks like Keira Knightley is in it. She plays the Sugar Plum Fairy, so that's interesting. So.
Oh no, there's some great names in this movie.
Absolutely.
There's some very talented people. Helen Mirren plays Mother Ginger, which is kind of humorous because Mother Ginger is usually played either by an older woman or a guy in drag. So, she's not who I picture as Mother Ginger.
Exactly. So this is a movie again, November 2nd. Get your tickets now or just wait till Netflix. So
Netflix.
All right. So we got 2 more movies. We mentioned this just a moment ago. We have Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer actually dropped this week. This comes out Wednesday, November 21st. This is the Thanksgiving movie that is coming out. And this movie is about John Riley, who is played by Ralph, and Vanellope von Schwitz, which is Sarah Silverman, gets a reprise role. They apparently have internet, so they get to travel to the internet to search for replacement parts to fix Schweit's video game. Apparently, this video game that Vanellope is in is just broken. I mean, she was a glitch, and now she's got this going on. Have they thought about doing Norton antivirus? I mean, that's what I'm thinking here. They need to get a little antivirus.
Well, I like it because it makes me think of Disney Infinity the game on a video, because they're going to have voice actors from just about every Disney movie over the last 50 years.
Right. Well, and this really plays a lot into what's happening. This was a little bit, if you ever saw the Emoji Movie, this kind of, from what I'm seeing on this, almost kind of reminds me of that, because in the Emoji Movie, you see a lot of these different things that are going on throughout the internet. You see Facebook referenced a lot. You see this thing being referenced a lot. And this looks very similar to that. So,
hey, Michael.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the Emoji Movie just won the Razzie last night for the worst movie of the year.
I saw that. It won 4 Razzies.
That was a little too generous.
Yes. Well, and you know what? I took.
So I really hope this is better than the Emoji Movie.
Well, and that's what I'm worried about, because when I saw that, I was like, "This is just like the Emoji Movie." almost like the Emoji Movie, because people are, you're on your phone. If you saw the Emoji Movie, they're on your phone. It's on Netflix, by the way, so you can now watch it there. You're on your phone and you're putting emojis in there, but you're like, you put in an emoji for sadness and it's like happy, and then there's like, no, I need, you're doing all this stuff. So this is what I'm worried about, that this is going to be something just like this. It's been 5 years since we've seen a Ralph movie, and his pint-sized amigo. It looks like there will be a lot to get excited for when they return. The sequel is going to make the most of its Disney properties. The scene that debuted at 2017's Disney 23 Expo showed the duo meeting 9 of Disney's iconic princesses, ranging from Rapunzel to Jasmine. Star Wars droid C-3PO was there too. So, there's a lot of references. I mean, Disney can reference a lot more. They own a lot of the properties. So I think there's going to be a lot of cameos you think could be kind of funny. But I am worried about the whole fact that this was, it's just like an emoji. It's just like the Emoji Movie, which is a Razzie Award winning worst picture.
I really hope it's not. I liked the original Wreck-It Ralph because I was an arcade girl. Back in the 70s and the early 80s, that's how we played video games. And
that's true.
And so for me, it was this huge nostalgia for me, and some of the games that they would reference, before you get to the Call of Duties and everything my son plays. Yeah,
and I mean, I even go in that era too. I remember going to the arcades. They would have the standalone arcade games. So I mean, and it would just be stores like that. There would be nothing else. So, this looks interesting. I mean, this is going to be interesting. I know the trailer was pretty funny. You saw Ralph feeding the pancakes to the rabbit, and then the little girls, swiping and everything like that. And you see the rabbit exploding.
The little girl is baby Moana. There's already an Easter egg right there.
Oh, are we already on that again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, November 21st, Wednesday. This is going to win. The weekend. It's going to be the animated movie that comes out. But again, I think the whole. I mean, this could. I hate to say this. I really hate to say this because this is probably the worst sequel that Disney ever made, which was Cars 2. This may turn into Cars 2. I mean, I just do not like how this is gonna go. So
I think I'm a little more optimistic than you guys are about that. I think Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, was an underrated film. I don't think it got the attention that it should have. Maybe it'll get some more with Pixar peer, but I think it has a lot of potential to go in a lot of different directions with all of the Easter eggs they can put in there, all of the inside jokes they can stick in there, all of the internet references. They can go in a million different directions. So
absolutely,
I think that Disney can pull it out of there better than the Emoji Movie did.
I think you're right.
I'm just worried about it. I mean, I can't help thinking about the Emoji Movie of this movie. I think
we also just have so little information on it.
Yeah.
That it's hard to make a real decision, because sometimes when they give you those little snippet trailers, you're like, okay, give me more.
I literally had no idea what Frozen was going to be until I walked into the theater, because the only preview I ever saw was Olaf and Sven, and I had no freaking idea what the movie was going to be about.
See, that's how my son is. My son's just like, I don't want to see any trailers. I just want to go in and watch the movie. And I don't want to be, because I totally get all into the, I don't know. I think I'm going to like it. Maybe not. I want to watch more. Show me more. Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes out November 21st, and we'll talk about holiday flicks here probably later in the year. But yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll get back to that later on. So last movie on our list is the one that has the longest sequel in between movies in history. The movie Mary Poppins Returns. This movie comes out Christmas Day, which I think is a great day for this movie.
Yes.
December 25th. This came out. The first one came out in 1964. So if my math is right, 54 years? Something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. The follow-up to the 1964 movie, which will follow a grown Michael, his 3 children, and Jane in the 1930s London. Mary Poppins is played by Emily Blunt. More than likely will get an Academy Award nomination for this, just because it's, at the end of the year, they always talk about movies that are going to be like this. So we'll return to bring some cheer back into their lives after suffering a personal loss. I think I know what that is. I'll explain who it is in just a second. They'll be joined by a street light lancer Jack, which is Lin-Manuel Miranda. which I think you've heard of this play called Hamilton. I mean, I'm hoping it does well.
A little thing.
It's a little movie. It's a little movie that came out not too long ago, or not a movie, but a play. So,
Broadway.
Exactly. Now there's a little. Emily Blunt. There's a lot of people talking about how she sings and how she's a great vocalist. So there's a lot of people excited about that. They're talking about Lin-Manuel Miranda's voice. Obviously, Hamilton speaks for itself. This is probably going to garner a lot of Oscar nominations for musicals as well. But
Yes.
Going back up to the personal loss, because you're talking about 20 years later, probably thinking about Bert. Maybe Bert not around anymore. He passing away. So now they've got a lamplighter that's kind of roaming the streets, lighting up lamps and just causing trouble all over. But you know what? I think that I'm going to be open to this. I think it'll be a fun movie to watch. I mean, I'm not expecting, a huge amount of this because obviously they're not recreating Mary Poppins. We're not talking about, Mary Poppins doing it starting all over.
Supposed to be a sequel.
Right, which I like that. I mean, I like the fact that it's a sequel. If they're not redoing it. It's not like, these animated movies they're coming out with live action. You're talking about a sequel. Obviously it took 54 years, but Terry, I'll start with you. Obviously there's a lot of expectation with this movie. Do you think that this movie is going to live up to how it did back in the 1960s?
First off, 4 movies to pick to make a sequel. I don't think I ever would have put Mary Poppins on that list. I think it's a really weird one to be like, what needs a sequel? Mary Poppins. But I do think it's going to be a good movie. I'll definitely go see it. And I love Emily Blunt. I hope she does I know there was debate whether or not people loved her for Mary Poppins or hated her for Mary Poppins, but I think the majority of people are excited to see her as Mary Poppins. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and she's she's got the accent down. She's got that all going for her. I think it's going to be great. Patricia, what do you think?
I'm super excited for it. Again, I never thought they would do a sequel to Mary Poppins, but I don't know if anyone else has read the book of Mary Poppins, but there's only certain chapters out of the book that they actually, made into the movie. So there's a lot more story in there, but I never thought that it would. I don't know if this is going to follow any of those stories or not, but I'm super excited, and I'm so happy that they got Dick Van Dyke to be in it. And it's just neat that he's playing Mr. Dawes Jr., which, in the original, he played Mr. Dawes Sr. as well as Bert. So it makes total sense. And I think that's one of the best things. And I'm a little sad that Julie Andrews, decided not to do it because she didn't want to overshadow Emily Blunt. She didn't want to rain on her parade. So she decided not to do it, which I don't know. I don't think it would have. I don't think she would have overshadowed it. I think it would have been a neat thing.
I can see why she would be very hesitant to be a part of that because there's so much. She probably knows that her character is iconic, and she's not like somebody. Oh, I'm the iconic Mary Poppins. She's not like very arrogant about it. She's very, I was in that movie. But she also realizes that Mary Poppins is such a historical movie that if she goes into that movie for a second time, I mean, Bert, I can definitely see him appearing. I mean, that's one of those little notches to the past. But yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of that. I for sure can see both sides of that.
I can.
So
I think it's going to be fabulous. But I've been waiting for a sequel since I was a little girl because there were so many stories, and I'm madly in love with Julie Andrews growing up. She was one of my idols. So, and I think that everyone they have in here is such a talented person. They're amazing actors. They've got great abilities. I think it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, and it's going to be very, very, very interesting how that will all play out. So, out of all the movies that we have talked about, Vicky, I'll start with you. What movie are you most looking forward to, and what movie are you least looking forward to?
That is a tough one. I think I am most looking forward to Avengers.
Okay.
because I love my superhero films.
Okay.
But I'm the most nervous about Solo because I want to like it so much. And I just don't know.
Terry, what about you?
I think mine's a tie. I'm going to go animated. I'm really excited for The Incredibles and Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. Just because I think the first one was so underrated and I loved it so much that I really hope they do a good job with this one. So I am really looking forward to it.
And what's your least favorite one?
I probably might not see Ant-Man and the Wasp until it comes out, just because I do love, okay, so I really like Paul Rudd, but again, it's one of those superhero movies that I'm like, nah, there's only certain superhero movies I get excited about, and apparently that's not one of them. Poor Ant-Man, sorry.
I know. Well, and it might be just that whole perception of how, Ant-Man's not really like this huge muscular character. He's not, someone that you're gonna see. So I can understand that.
Well, I mean, every superhero movie I've seen, I like. I've never hated a superhero movie, but I don't tend to seek them out.
Right. I gotcha. Trish, what about you? Most looking forward to and least looking forward to?
I'm probably most looking forward to Avengers. I'm the most nervous about Solo, and the one that I don't really care too much about is the Nutcracker.
I'm going to kind of piggyback on yours a lot because I am looking forward to the Avengers. The one I am least looking forward to is the Nutcracker, and the one I don't care about is going to be Ant-Man, and I'm going to say that because because it's not because, and I think it's not because of his abilities. I think it's the person that they cast in that movie. You know what? I think of Paul Rudd in Anchorman, and whenever I see Paul Rudd, I always think about him telling me about Sex Panther. Where he has that cologne. It works.
There's a reason I avoided those Anchorman movies.
It works 60% of the time, all the time, or something like that. I mean, he's a funny dude. He's a funny guy. But in the movie, he tries to portray himself as someone who's a little serious, but he's also a little bit funny. And it just doesn't. It just for me, it just doesn't work that way.
What about Deadpool? Deadpool's a funny
Now that one, Ryan Reynolds is actually funny. He's naturally funny. But the character of Deadpool fits with how he is. But you
don't think Ant-Man fits with Paul Rudd?
It just doesn't. I'm trying. I'm legitimately trying everything I can to give something positive. I just can't. I'm trying.
I mean, you are totally allowed to think that. That's fine.
I know.
Not everyone can agree on everything. And the fact that we all like as much as we do like in common, I think we're doing pretty good.
No, absolutely. But I'll tell you this much. The bottom line is I am going to be watching all these movies. I think you are as well at some point.
Yeah.
We will talk about that. Yeah. So that is the 2018 Disney movie preview show. Ladies, that was pretty fun. Wasn't that fun? We got a chance to talk about each other.
Oh, yeah.
I think I learned that Vicky is going to leave her family to watch the Avengers movie. So if any of Vicky's family is listening to this episode, we're going to be doing that. So before we go, we like to try to plug things as we can. Trish, I know you have some projects you're working on. Where were you at just about a couple weeks ago? Tell us where were you?
Oh, I was in LA. I was at the Gallifrey 1 convention.
Nice.
And what is Gallifrey? What people who don't know what Gallifrey is? What is that?
Oh, Gallifrey 1
Weirdos.
Maybe. I guess we are kind of weirdos, but it's
no, they're weird because they didn't know what Gallifrey was.
Oh, they are okay.
Yeah, no, we're normal. They're the weirdos. Yeah.
Yes.
It's big. Also, Doctor Who convention in the United States. I guess you could say it's not really that big. Yeah. They only sell about 3,800 tickets every year, so it's one of those ones where you have to be online at that moment to buy them.
Otherwise, you're not going until it stops.
Yes, and they just bring in a lot of Doctor Who guests, and it's 3 days of panels and workshops and just all kinds of things. It's just nice because it feels like it's on a more personal level than the bigger conventions, and you actually we stayed in the same hotel as the convention, and a couple times we were riding the elevators with, people from Doctor Who, and it's
Nice.
just, Stephen Moffat was standing behind me at the hotel checkout, and it was just like, it's just so weird to hang out in the lobby, because they have a thing after the main programming's done. Everybody hangs out in the lobby. It's actually called LobbyCon. And hang out there and drink and shoot the breeze with people from Doctor Who. It's pretty cool.
The only admission you need on that is just a beer tab, a bar tab that's going over there. So
It's probably expensive there. Yes, it's true.
Terry, what are you working on? You have any projects you're working on? Anything going on with your store you've got with your ears?
I do have. Well, if anybody's interested, I just put up listings for, it's called Ears of the Month Club.
Okay.
So I have subscriptions for 1, 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. And I'm just going to be picking a random set of ears to send out every month if you would like to subscribe to the Ears of the Month Club.
Awesome.
And get your Disney fix in the mail.
Awesome. Now, can you put that on the Facebook page as well?
I can.
Awesome. So,
yes.
So Terry's going to put on it looks like she's got a pretty cool little things going on. If you have not seen Terry's ears, she does some really creative ideas for ears. It's Disney themed, but there's a lot of different characters that she does. I've seen some Doctor Who ears as well. I know we talked a little bit about Gallifrey there, but there's a lot of different unique things that she does. On top of that, she does a lot of cakes as well. So as I said before, we're still going to have a couple people talk, including Terry, about some Disney things that they do, kind of small business kind of thing as well. So Terry's going to post it on there. But you said it's a kind of like a ear club. You can do like a month subscription or 3 months or what have you.
Yeah, up to 12 months.
12 months. And that's like once a month? Is that what you get
for 12
months?
A month, you'll just get a random pair of ears in the mail. Surprise!
So,
nice.
Awesome. Well, definitely we love doing that. Vicky, any more Disney trips? Anything you got planning going on as well? Or?
Well, actually, like I said before, I am on the board of a local Reno ballet company, AVA Ballet Company, and on May 5th and 6th, we are putting on a production of the Beauty and the Beast Ballet.
Ooh.
At the Pioneer Center with the Philharmonic playing.
Awesome. And
so, yeah, you really need to come see it. It's going to be fabulous.
And that's here locally in the Reno area. So that's going to be,
yes.
You said May 5th and 6th?
May 5th and 6th.
Okay, so perfect.
And then hopefully at the end of the month, I'll be in Disneyland.
Perfect. Well, send me out some of those details. We'll put it on the Geeks, Great Basin Geeks page as well. So I'm sure that people like to see that as well. So that's going to do it. That's our episode for this week. Ladies, thank you very much for joining me here today. As always, next week we're actually going to have something a little bit fun next week. Next week we are going to have live in studio Emily and Katie. Now, obviously you don't know who Emily and Katie are, but Emily and Katie are cosplayers, and they do a lot of different type of cosplays. So they're going to be live in the studio, which is basically a bedroom, or a loft. I can't really say.
No, say living room.
Yeah, living room. I don't know. It's whatever room I can fit people in, pretty much. But we're gonna have next week. We're gonna talk a little bit about cosplay. A lot of Disney cosplay, but cosplay doesn't just relate too strictly to Disney. I know Disney Parks does a lot of different dressing up things. Obviously, you can't dress up at a Disney park, but you can certainly do different things with dressing up Disney year round. So we're going to have them on the show as well. If you'd like to submit some questions about that, send us an email. We do have our social media still up and running, disneyversepodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to send a question to the ladies, we'd love to get those questions on there. Of course, if you want to be a fan of the show, hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/DisneyversePod. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, Twitter is happening right now @DisneyversePod. So again, hit us up. Again, next week, Disney cosplay with the ladies. Otherwise, that's going to do it. So again, thank you very much for following us. Listen to the show, whether if you're listening to us live or on demand. And we'll talk to you next week. But until then,